Hello Year 3 and welcome to your WAC lesson this week. Our learning objective this week is to understand where Stone Age people settled. First of all, before we go on to that, we're going to do a little recap quiz. So we're going to start doing these a bit more frequently and we're just going to recap what we have learnt so far. So don't worry if you're not too sure on any of the questions, so you can just have a little think and have a look at the answers on the next slide. When was the Stone Age? When was it? What sorts of tools were used in the Stone Age? What were these tools made from? How did Stone Age people get food? There was two main ways. And finally, what was one important discovery from the Stone Age? You just need to name one. Have a think. This was just before half term we did this one. An important discovery. Okay, you can pause those. Pause the video and just write down your answers if you'd like to. And click when you're ready to go on to the next slide where the answers will be. Okay, here we go, here are the answers. Okay, the Stone Age was we could say it was at the beginning of human history, or it was around 2.5 million years ago. You could also say millions of years ago, that's fine too. The tools that they would make were spears, flint, stone hammers. There's loads of different options that you could have had, and of course they were all made from stone, hence the name the Stone Age. We'll see a bit later on that you changed it to bronze and iron. Stone Age people gathered either gathered food, like berries and plants, or they hunted animals, so gathering or hunting food like mammoths. And in an example, you could have had lots of, again, an important discovery is things like fire and the invention of wheels, farming, communication, all of those things when we did that Diamond 9 a couple of weeks ago. So well done on your recap quiz. We're going to continue doing a little more of those when we come back to school. Let's have a look now at settlements and where Stone Age people lived. So, of course, we know that Stone Age people lived in tribes, or they lived in small groups, or even by themselves. So people of the old Stone Age, we call that the Paleolithic period, which was the very first part of the Stone Age, were nomads. So they didn't live in one place for long periods of time, and they usually lived in small groups. But they moved from one place to another to make sure they got the best food and to avoid the weather, because of course we all know that in winter in England it gets very, very cold and you wouldn't want to sleep outside at that point, so they would probably move to a warmer place to do that. So they had to think very carefully about where they would choose to live. They would think about what would be the best way of getting food. So of course, as we know, they would use a great variety of plants and animals to eat. They would collect different types of fruit, roots, mushrooms, honeys, insects, and lots of small animals, and really their group depended on how well they could hunt and gather these foods. So have a think about where could be the best place that they could live in order to be able to get lots of food, because that's quite an important part of living, isn't it? So have a think about where you could do that, because they didn't have supermarkets and they didn't have butchers and things like that, so they would have to depend on somebody or a few people from the tribe to go out and get some food. Where could that be? So we're thinking a little bit more generally now, so we're kind of broadening out about looking at the Stone Age, and it's quite interesting actually, because I've got on here, I've kind of circled where we are now, so I've circled England, or the UK actually I've circled, so that's where we are. So I just wanted to show you that in relation to where the Stone Age people first were thought to have lived, and they you can have a look at that second arrow there, and that's Eastern Africa. So they were thought to have first lived there, but as time got on, they actually broadened out into Asia and parts of Europe. Potentially because it was a little bit warmer, or maybe they wanted to find more foods or just explore a little bit. So have a think about why they may have moved or why they may have branched out a little bit over the years. Okay, so that's quite an interesting factor, the fact that they moved across and found different places to live. So I really want you to think about carefully, where could somebody live? Where could Stone Age tribes or Stone Age people live? So there are some options for you. They could live near food, so it's really important to think about living near food, as we've just discussed. So that would probably be near some trees or near some woods, so you can get fire to cook the food, lots of berries, lots of plants to eat, and possibly some animals that live in those forests. Or you could maybe choose to live near a water source, like a stream, or you could live high away from danger, potentially on top of a mountain or on a cliff, so you can maybe see enemies who are coming to storm and steal your supplies. You can kind of see that. So it's really about thinking, what would you think is the most important for a tribe to think about when choosing to live? Lots of things that they have to think about now. We take it for granted that we're quite lucky about we can just go home and we're safe and we have lots of food and water that's near us. But these people in the Stone Age, they had to really think about choosing where they were going to live. So, however, you're probably thinking now that quite a lot of those places seemed pretty good. High up on the cliff, you can see your enemies, it's pretty good. Living near a forest, you can get lots of food, near a stream, perfect, love that. But there are probably some problems that go alongside that, so they kind of had to weigh up the pros and cons of each place. For example, if you lived by a stream or a river, we know from our river topic that rivers can flood. So if you're living right on top of a river, there may be a chance that you get flooded. Not great. And if you lived up high, in a mountain, it's going to get a little bit cold, isn't it? So you're going to have to think about that. If you're living in a forest, it could be quite dangerous from predators, and probably quite a lot of other tribes may live there too. So you've got to think about that as well. So your task is, you are going to look at the following picture, which I'm going to show you on the next slide, and it's also on the challenge sheet ready for your work lesson today. And I would like you to draw and decide where you would place your tribe or your small group of people. You're going to have a good reason behind it, as you're going to have to write a sentence or two about it. Think about why you have chosen that. Okay, it could be that you choose lots of different places and you can't decide, but I'm going to say you have to choose one. You have to choose one place and draw it on the map. Okay, now there is no right or wrong answer here, okay, because you may have a different opinion to somebody else, and that's absolutely fine, but it's where you would choose to draw your tribe. Okay, so let's have a little look at this picture. Okay, some good options there. Very good option. So all you need to do is just draw your tribe where you would put, and you can maybe draw a couple of houses or a couple of people there, and you need to write why you would put your tribe there. Once you've done that, there are a couple of other challenges that you can do and to have fun with about where you would live, why you would live there. So take a look at the challenge sheets, and there are some other options for you to do. Have fun, can't wait to see it. Bye.